All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Nikki Vradenburg from Montana PBS, and I have a special guest with me today. Kari Wardle is here from Idaho Public Television. Welcome, Kari.
Wow. Hi.
Thanks for
Thanks
joining us
me.
on our weekly webinar. And today our topic is Let's Have Some Fun. And Susan, if you have not used Zoom before, there's a chat box if you have any questions, if you want to stop us and type that into the chat box, and you can tell us, ask us questions or tell us you can't hear us or to slow down, or whatever you need. We are recording this, so we'll have this available for anybody who couldn't make it today, or if you want to go back and watch things. So I think Kari, I'm going to keep it in this mode so that we can go back and forth to our websites rather than going to full screen. Do you think that's okay? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. So here's our contact information. I'll go back here. We have this web address right here, bit.ly/funtechpbs. And if you type that, all right. So as I was saying, this is the web address for this slide deck. So bit.ly/funtechpbs. And you can just type that into another tab in your browser, and you should be able to get this slide deck. And the reason you would want to do that is because all of the resources we're sharing today will be directly linked to this slide deck. So if you want to go back after this recording and go to those specific resources, you can find the links in the slide deck. And we'll include this web address in the comments in the YouTube, in the recording on YouTube as well for people to find. So Kari, this is our contact information if there's anything Kari or I could ever help you with. All right, so the first collection we want to share today is the PBS LearningMedia All About the Holidays collection. And you can find this by going to PBS LearningMedia and searching All About the Holidays. And this is not just great for those winter holidays, but it is also a place to find a very quick sneak peek at any of the holidays that fall in any season. So if you are just looking for, if you have kids that are asking you, oh, what is Hanukkah? Why is that celebrated? And how does that compare with Kwanzaa? Or even if you yourself are just interested in those things. So as you can see in the middle, we've got the winter holidays represented, but then over on the left side of the screen, we have all seasons are represented. All of those holiday videos, when you click on them, are aligned to standards and do have support materials that go along with them for you to use in your classroom with your students. Kari, do you have anything to add about those, or how you've used them, or how you've seen teachers use them?
I have teachers that they love it as an introduction to the holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have teachers that bookmark this and use them every year. And they were really excited about some of those holidays that they have a harder time finding things about, like Kwanzaa and the Chinese New Year and things like that. They were particularly excited about those kinds of things that are in here. So
yeah. So yep, that's the All About the Holidays collection on PBS LearningMedia. And again, these are real short, really fast-paced, lots of great visuals, and just really developed to be fun and not to be too boring for kids to watch. So we can go back to the slide deck, and the next one, Kari, did you want to talk about this one? Or I guess I put it in the slide deck, but did you want to talk about it?
No, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, so this is Physics Girl is a series of videos on PBS LearningMedia. And this was a collection that came out last year that talked about physics experiments for the holidays. And so this is a lot of fun. She's got a kind of a Christmas theme going, and she walks kids and teachers through how to use common household items and holiday themed objects to do some experiments. And I think they were really meant to be used maybe to recreate at home with parental supervision, but I think it would be a lot of fun to do some of these in the classroom too. All right, back to the slide deck. And I put this one up too, so I'll share this one and then I'll let Kari talk. This was just a really nice PBS NewsHour piece about teaching kindness, and especially around the holidays, and helping kids develop empathy, talking about community service. And I thought this would be a nice springboard for when teachers are sharing with students and then maybe they're coming up with some kind of a service learning project and they need some inspiration. So this was created using the PBS NewsHour website. This one's got great support materials. And also, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see where it says there's an activity there, but in the About section, you can see where it says, we also recommend this Teacher's Lounge piece. Don't assume that every student has a warm or fun holiday break. And I really thought that was an interesting link to this time of year. I think that we all get super excited about Christmas and holidays, and have to have a reminder that the holidays don't bring happiness for everyone, or the holiday break doesn't bring happiness for all kids. Some kids, it's better at school and more routine for them to be at school than it is to be home. So this is a neat resource for taking it wherever you think you might need it with your class, but there is an activity that goes along with it, and there are support materials available. All right, Kari, I'll let you share one now.
Okay. Probably one of my favorites is this blog from Control-Alt-Achieve that I stumbled upon last year. And it's 6 googly winter activities. And I love these. So I kind of screenshot the 2 that I've had that teachers have used that they love. But these are Google Slides, and you get to, like, this one just has the blank screen here. They get to build a snowman using, there's, let me open that up and I'll show you. And then they get to write about it. And so the kids really liked this one. And it's good for building those skills like copy paste, which we don't always think about, but kids don't always know how to do, because they have to go to one slide and copy the arm and then take it back to the snowman slide and paste it. And so I have teachers use this as kind of an introduction to Google Slides, even to really get the kids used to copying and pasting, and then you get to type something about your snowman in there. So so that's been a fun one. And then there's this magnetic poetry one. Again, this opens up in a Google Slide, and then the kids can drag these little words over and create a poem or a little story or whatever they want. There's a whole bunch of them, though. Well, there's 6. So there's some other little things about making greeting cards with Google Drawings, and instructions for how to do that. And there's pixel art ornaments, which the kids love as well. And then a rebus story. And so this one has been good. Some of the littler kids I've had, the teachers use this with them. They can put in the pictures and things. In fact, one school I had, the teachers had the older kids create some of these for the younger kids, and then they sent them to the younger kids who got to read them. So that was fun, and they had to use simpler words and things. And then writing with holiday lights. So these are some just fun winter activities, but that also teach some skills with writing and copy and paste and things like that. And all of these, if you click on those templates, it just automatically opens up and you can make a copy. And then if you're using Google Classroom, it's really easy to just make a template for all of your students and share those. And I've had teachers that have had a lot of success, that love them and are using them from year to year. So this links you to the Control-Alt-Achieve website where you can download those.
And that website is just a bed of resources. And
yeah,
he is a daily blogger, I think, and he is creating Google things for classrooms just on a regular basis. So there's a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, it's a great website.
So I wanted to share about Kahoot. And I think We don't have to go out to the Kahoot website. I can just talk over this slide real quick.
Okay.
A lot of teachers are familiar with Kahoot as a game-based platform where you run a game in the front of the room and the kids use whatever devices to answer multiple choice or survey questions to go along with the game. I used it enough times with my class when I had 4th and 5th grade that later we used it. I had the kids make their own Kahoot games. And so that was a really fun spin on Kahoot for us because they could come up with the questions, and Kahoot has a really fun template out there for you to just print off, and the kids can write in their questions. And then they get into Kahoot and they type them in and they find the images to match them. And then they can present the game to their classmates. And in the pictures you see here, the assignment was the kids were creating a Kahoot about their favorite author, about the author that they had studied for our literature unit. And then they invited the younger kids in to play their Kahoots. And they used it as how they presented what they had learned about the author. And it was understood that the kids maybe didn't have enough background knowledge to answer the questions correctly while they were playing the game. But we all know that when you're playing a game and you get an answer wrong, suddenly you're more motivated to figure out what the right answer is. And so this let them stop between each question and talk about the right answer and give a little bit more information about the author. And so it was a nice project to start at the beginning of December and just let them work on it steadily until Christmas break, because they were so very motivated to work on these presentations and to share them with the younger kids. And Kahoot has a ton of holiday games on there too, and a ton of holiday themed things that if you just need a quick 15 to 20 minute activity, you can pull up a Kahoot and the kids just love it. So that's Kahoot. Kari, what's next?
This one is one of my favorites, and anybody who has spent any kind of time with me knows that I will talk about it all day long, so I'll try and not do that. PBS Kids Scratch Junior is a coding app for kids, and so PBS advertises it as K to 3rd, but I've used it with 4th, 5th, and 6th graders who have been equally as engaged. So I often tell teachers it's a really great beginning coding app, a really good place to start those kids who maybe haven't done it before. And so this is kind of the interface here, and you can see that it's pretty simple for those littler kids. They just snap blocks together. So you don't have to be able to be a fluent reader yet at this point. You just snap blocks together and that runs your code. One of the great things about the PBS Kids version of Scratch Junior is that it has the PBS Kids characters. So you can see on the screen there's Wild Kratts in there. And that's a pretty engaging thing for kids as well. It's got the PBS Kids backgrounds also. So the kids think it's great that they can put like Wild Kratts in Arthur's World or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's a fun and engaging thing for kiddos. And then in addition to just the great app, which is free to download. So it's an app, so it won't run on a PC, but it will run on any tablet, Kindle, Amazon Fire, iPad, or if your Chromebook will run Google Play, which most of the newer ones now are coming already running Google Play, and some of the older ones will run it. I have a list of that. If anybody wants it, I'm happy to send that along. But so some Chromebooks will also run this app now, which I was really excited about. Mm-hmm. But in addition to the app just being super cool, PBS has learning resources or lesson plans available as well, so that teachers can, if you aren't familiar with coding and you want to start teaching the kids, this is a great place to go. And these lessons are pretty good. They kind of scaffold, so they start out just teaching them a few blocks and then move through until by the end they've learned how to kind of use all of those blocks. And so I'll just quickly show you kind of the format of one of these. So they all have this little, vocabulary words here and tell you what materials you need. They all come with a design handout, which I love, for planning. Mm-hmm. So you can see that the kids can pick their characters and their background ahead of time. And then if you want to make it double-sided, then they can reflect on the project at the end. So they all come with a design handout, and then they also all come with a parent handout, which again, I love. It's a half sheet, and it just gives the parents some really good questions that they could ask their kids to follow up at home and kind of extend that learning and take it home.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah, I love that. And then here's just kind of a little overview. They all have an unplugged game. So a game that you start out with that you don't use a computer, but it relates to coding. And then these are the blocks that the kids are going to learn, or the skills that they're going to learn to use. And for teachers, if you click on these, it tells you how to do that in case you forget or aren't sure. So any one of these that you click on explains how to do it. And then they all kind of follow the same format. So you watch a little video. This one happens to be Peg plus Cat, and it ends with Cat being stuck in a tree. And then the kid's job is to code him out of the tree. And so they all follow that format where they have a video, and then their task relates to that. Mm-hmm. And then there's their task. And then they also all come with a coding challenge. So for that kid that finishes early, there's some ideas of how you can make it harder, and then a math and a literacy extension. So I love that there's lesson plans already ready. There's little how-to cards. There's a certificate you can print for your kids about being creative coders. And there's even a little self-paced interactive educators workshop if you're unsure how to do it. And so this one, there's just a ton of things that they could do with this to create their own little Christmas stories. And maybe I was talking to a teacher just the other day who said she's going to use this to let her kids create kind of a Christmas scene. And she got some pictures of Santa, and they're taking pictures of him, and they're going to code Santa at the North Pole. And these are second graders, and they're kind of going to create their own little, but they're incorporating into it like kind of some geographical, like what kind of plan of attack would Santa have to make, and in which continents is it going to be night, and in which continents is it day? So when would he have to be, in certain places? And anyway, she was telling me about it, and I thought that was a super cool and fun use of a coding app. Her kids have been coding for a little while, and so now she's tying it into some Christmas time zones and climates and talking about those kinds of things, and connecting the kids to the fact that it's not winter everywhere either. So she's having them do multiple pages, and they have to include some non-winter climates and what it might look like. And so anyway, they're working on that project over this next few weeks before Christmas break. So that's just one really fun idea that I just recently heard from a teacher, but there's a ton of things you can do with coding.
Yeah, that's great. I love Scratch Junior too. That's a crowd pleaser. That one is for the little guys for sure.
Yep.
All right. Well, I love telling people about the 5-clue challenge. And if you click on this link, hopefully that's still live. Will it take you there? Yes. This was created by a teacher who got Teacher of the Year for his state, and I can't remember. His name is David Soskill, but I can't remember the state that he's from. But when he's created this library of YouTube videos that are him giving 5 clues about where he is, and he talks you through trying to figure out where he is. And you're supposed to show the first clue and then pause the video, let the kids do some research or make their guesses and try and figure out what it is, and then hit play again, and it'll walk you through trying to narrow down where he is. And so I've done this in trainings with teachers. But I've done it with kids as young as 2nd grade. We were able to, with some Chromebooks and maps and things like that, they could narrow it down. And I used it quite a bit when I taught 4th and 5th grade. And the norm in my classroom would be, I just put on the board when they came in from lunch, get ready for a 5-clue challenge. And they knew that meant get out a piece of paper and number from 1 to 5, get your Chromebook out, get your maps out, and you can, and then we just go through this challenge. They got so good at it that they wanted to make their own. And so I tied it into our American history unit, and I had them create a 5-clue challenge about a prominent historical figure from the American Revolution. And so they had to learn about different characters, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Paine, those guys, and come up with 5 clues about them. And then they presented their 5-clue challenge to the class, and everybody had to try and guess who that historical figure was. So that was another way of flipping this around, but super easy. It can take as long or as short of the time as you need it to. And it's a nice on-demand way to connect your kids with other parts of the world without really having to worry about time zones or anything like that.
What a cool idea.
Yeah, super fun, super easy. And then, of course, you could make your own. So that's 5-clue challenge. What did you have next, Kari?
I have recently fallen in love with HyperDocs.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with those, I'll just take you out to the website. HyperDocs are basically, they're interactive, student-centered lessons, and they usually consist of like a video and a little interactive challenge. And I think they're awesome. I have found some really good ones recently, and I kind of stumbled upon them by accident a little while ago, and just have been in love with them ever since. I found this just recently, this fun one for Christmas, and it's Christmas around the world. And so they compare the different, so students will compare and contrast Christmas traditions from around the world. And so this particular one talks about, there's some questions that they answer about the people, and then they watch a little video and take notes about some of the different traditions and cultures. And there just is a ton of fun stuff. Within this, there was a Barney video, which I was like, go PBS, right? So they added that in there. And anyway, this they tagged it as for being for 4th graders, but I just thought that this was a fun one. So HyperDocs are awesome if you haven't checked them out. There's other Christmas ones on there that looked like they were pretty fun, but you can search for just about anything and find HyperDocs that people are sharing on this HyperDocs website. But I also have just searched HyperDocs, like just Googled it, and found some really great ones as well. So if you, and I love because they're really pretty extensive, but the work has already been done, and then you can just assign them on Google Classroom or whatever format you're using, and the kids can kind of work through them. And they're a really great high really interactive and highly engaging way to teach a lesson to the kids. So if you haven't seen HyperDocs, you should check that out.
Yeah, they're great. I'm doing one with a teacher tomorrow about the rock cycle. And we found it looks like a clock, and on the inside of the clock are the resources they'll click on to either read some content from a website or watch a video. And then on the outside of the clock, there are places for them to click to share what they learned. There's either a text box for them to type in their answer, or there's a link to a Padlet wall for them to type their answer there. So we're trying it out with a group of 7th graders tomorrow, and I'm really excited to see how they do. But yeah, the cool thing about HyperDocs is that somebody's already done the work for you. You get in, make a copy, and edit it as much as you need it, and you've got this ready-made, super media-rich activity.
I found a really great one on Lewis and Clark for the 4th grade teachers in my state, and they are so excited about it. And because you just jump in and make a copy, and so it's awesome.
Yeah, so great. Well, my favorite thing to do is virtual experiences. I love having kids talk to kids in other places, or have a virtual field trip where they meet an adult or somebody in another place. And I think this time of year, about 2 years ago when I was still in the classroom, I talked all the other teachers in my building into doing a Skype-a-thon. And it was a great thing to do in December because we were so interrupted with concert rehearsals and Santa's workshop and field trips to this and that, and it was just really hard to stick to our regular curriculum. And so this was the time of year when we pulled out things like this, and it kept kids from just like counting down to Christmas break, you know, keeping school so much fun that they weren't like waiting for that break. And so the Skype-a-thon was really us just playing mystery meeting with other classrooms, and we'd connect with a class in another state and just ask yes or no questions to try and figure out where each classroom was. This photo, we connected with brainpop.com, which is another ed tech website, and we got to take a tour of their office in New York City and learn how their website is created and developed, and meet the animators and the people who write the stories and things like that. If you go to the Skype in the Classroom website, it has a ton of experts and scientists and people from all over the world that want to take your classroom on a virtual community. You can go to a museum, you can go to a national park, you can meet a park ranger in Yellowstone or Glacier Park, wherever you happen to be, or you can collaborate with another class and do a mystery Skype. And it really just takes a computer with an internet connection, a webcam, and a projector, just one computer, and then you just put the kids in front of that webcam and let them talk to each other. Last week I had a third grade class connect with another third grade class in North Carolina, and they just took turns asking each other questions. And it was a great opportunity for them to develop empathy for another group of people across the world, and to learn what they had in common, and to learn what they didn't have in common. So a lot of great opportunities there with virtual experiences.
And are those people on the Skype in the Classroom website willing to do it via other platforms besides Skype, just if you don't have that? Or
I think so. You know, I think it's flexible. Obviously, for the Skype connections, it's an assumption that you'll use Skype. But if you can't get that to work, you can use Google Hangout, or you could use Zoom. You know, we were supposed to be connecting with a website called Empatico last week, and the other class couldn't get their connections to work. And so I just used this tool we're using now, Zoom, and sent them the link, and we were able to connect quickly. So whatever works for connecting so that everybody can see and hear everybody.
awesome. The next one is, I know Nikki loves this too, but it's another personal favorite of mine called Flipgrid.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not familiar with Flipgrid, it's just this really great platform where kids can get on and create just short little videos talking about whatever you'd like them to talk about. They go to flipgrid.com, they enter the little code here, and then they're able to create a video. So I did one with a class where they had learned about idioms, and so they had to share an idiom and then tell what it meant. And you know, the actual tell the meaning of that idiom. And then at the end, they take a little selfie, and there's all these little stickers. There's some holiday ones with Santa hats and elf ears and things that they get to decorate. And then the cool thing is that they can watch each other's. So it creates this grid, and the students can watch each other's videos, and they can make comments on each other's videos. They can like them. And so anybody that has a that has this flip code can see that. But the other feature that I really love about this is that each individual video also creates its own flip code as the kids create them. And so you can share just that flip code like with their parents. And I know I had a teacher last year who had her kids do that, create some Flipgrid videos, and then she created a QR code that went to their Flipgrid video, and she handed it out to parents, to the parents at parent-teacher conference that went to just their child's. It was their narrative writing, and she had them kind of read their writing. And anyway, and then the parents were able to just either write there at conferences or go home later. So she, you know, they could scan the QR code and pop up to their child's video, and they were able to see their kid. But then she also was able to just share the whole board with her administrator, who then was able to go in and, you know, see. So I love that flexibility that you can share just with parents, or you can share the whole board with an administrator or a colleague if they wanted to see those. And teachers have a lot of control there. You can set a time limit for the number of minutes that the video can record. So it'll which is a good thing for kids to learn sometimes to be succinct and articulate, and not have, 20 minutes of, I think the longest is 4 minutes, I think. And then there's even as short as 30 seconds. So you can decide how long you think it needs to be. And this can be on any kind of device. There's an app for it that makes it really easy if you have littler kids, that they just hit the app, enter the flip code, and it takes them automatically. Or you can go to the website and do it on a Chromebook as well. So it's really versatile, and it's a fun way to get kids practicing those speaking and listening skills, as well as, solidifying any kind of information that you may have just taught them.
Yeah, this one is really blown up in just the last couple of years, and it's such a powerful tool for just letting kids share their opinion or their thinking about something that doesn't require writing, and I've had kids as young as second grade use it. And then I've seen it used up into even at professional development at conferences. I've been at places where they've asked us to make Flipgrids. I know adults are a little bit more nervous about recording their videos than the kids are, for sure. But it's really fun to, like you said, put those stickers up there and share it, and leave video comments for each other. And it's free now. It wasn't free before. So
yes,
awesome.
It is awesome. Adults have just as much fun if they will let their guard down. I did a conference. I did one with some teachers who it was the funniest thing, and I made them do a flip grid at the end. So these two teachers worked together, and the one didn't really want to be on camera, but the guy did. And so she did the talking and he lip synced, and was making like gestures and little faces, and she was doing the talking. And it was a fun way that they figured out how to include both of them, but her not have to be on camera, and it was hilarious. So grown-ups have just as much fun with it. They had to do like 5 takes or something because they were laughing so hard in the middle of it, and they finally got through, and it turned out awesome. So it's a fun video. It's a fun one to get the teachers at your school out of their comfort zone a little bit, even and have them do as well. So
lots of fun. Cool. So the last couple here, this is, I just used Screencasting, and I put up a couple apps that you can use, but I probably didn't include some of the Chromebook ones. But Screencasting is basically just talking over a screen. By all intents and purposes, we're screencasting right now. And I love to use this as a way of letting kids kind of record themselves reading their writing. That's what these kids are doing in this picture. They would take photos of their writing and then use a screencasting tool to read over the writing or explain what they did in the work. And we used Shadow Puppet EDU to create fun little videos, or Book Creator is another really great iPad app that takes all those recordings and puts them into a compilation video. If you're on a Chromebook, Screencastify is my favorite for just having kids create a Google slide deck and then have them hit Screencastify, and they can record themselves talking about that slide deck. And I see Kari's got it up there in her toolbar. You can see that that's what it looks like.
I do.
And it creates a video and automatically shares it to your Google Drive, and then gives you the option to create a YouTube link. I talked to a teacher a couple of weeks ago. She was trying to use Google Classroom to set up a sub plan and to have something for the kids to do that would be largely independent while she was gone. She found the Google Earth Voyager series on PBS LearningMedia, where the kids were going to be exploring the Columbian Exchange using a Google Earth activity. But she said, I want to make sure they really understand how to get to these steps. And I said, well, why don't you just record yourself going through the directions exactly as you would if you were there, and using Screencastify, and make it a video and pop that into Google Classroom. And the directions are, watch this video first, then do this activity. And she was like, oh, yes, that's amazing. So she opened up the resource and Google Earth and what they were supposed to do, and then talked them through the demonstration of what they would do and pop that into Google Classroom. And she said it worked beautifully and that it was a lot of fun. So just so many options with screencasting and having kids just verbally show you what they know other than just writing about it. Have you used screencasting for anything cool?
Yeah, well, Yes, I mean, I used to do a flipped classroom with my 5th graders, and I used Screencast um, to do that, to record myself and then, you know, kind of talk over it, explaining to the kids what to do as well. So,
Mhm.
but if you have iPads, iOS 11 now has built-in Screencast,
Mhm.
so you don't even need a second party app to do that.
Yeah.
The camera will it'll record its screen, and I was really excited to find that out. So
Mhm.
um, anyway, it's becoming in such high demand that they're just building it into
Mhm.
some products now. So
Cool. So I think the last one I have on here is design challenges in makerspace, and this is sort of a low-tech, fun activity. But this was something that I did with when I had K1 and also in 4th and 5th, and then shared it across the hall with the middle school teachers as well. If you go to the next slide, Kari, this was the little Google Doc I created with these columns. And this was design challenges, and so they were supposed to design something. I don't think it's linked to the actual document, because what I always tell people is you can make this table yourself. You open up a Google Doc, you do insert table, make it 3 columns, because you need to use the materials that you have available to you. So I went into our supply room, and all the random materials that we had available, that's what went in that first column. And then think about the things that you'd want them to make is in the second part. And then what would it do? And give it an action in the third column. And so the kids would roll a dice to see how many materials they were going to get, and then choose from the other 2 columns, and they'd work in teams to design and build something from using this grid. And so this was a 1 afternoon activity, and they designed something, and then we came back the following week and they had their design, and I gave them 1 more material that they had to add to their design. So they had to somehow find a way to integrate it in with what they were doing and change it, and then they had to present what they'd created to the class and talk about what worked or what didn't work or what the purpose was. And it was a really fun, hands-on, everybody exploring something. And then of course, using technology at the end, we took photos and we did screencasts where they talked about the design challenge and what they learned and what they do next time. And we put those up on our class blog. So this time of year, that kind of hands-on stuff is really fun. I also took that a step further. Once we finished this, then I brought in all the graham crackers and the frosting and the sprinkles and the candy, and the design challenge was designing some kind of a gingerbread structure, some kind of a structure using those materials. And once they'd practiced it with some of these other materials, they really enjoyed working with the edible materials the next time. So Kari, do you have anything to add? I think we've come to the end of our time here.
no, I think that's great.
Susan, you are allowed to ask us questions if you want to pop anything into the chat box or ask us questions about any of the tools we've asked about, or anything you're wondering about. You're more than welcome to pop those in there. This doesn't have to just be you sitting and getting. This is going to be recorded, so those of you who are watching the recording, please use the links below to fill out our survey so that you can get OPI renewal units if you're a Montana teacher. And feel free to reach out to Kari or I if you have any questions. And so we just really appreciate your time today. And I'm going to stop recording.